little bit of a different video because I want to talk to you. It's just a coffee time with you and me about how to get rich in 2025. And we have to have this talk, and for some people, for some of you, it will be uncomfortable because it's something you don't want to do because it'll take a little extra effort, but it's really not that much effort. And so I was just hanging out with an entrepreneur this week. I love hanging out with entrepreneurs. Why? Because they're excited. They're always looking forward. They're projecting themselves ahead in time and saying, look, I want to be more successful, more wealthy tomorrow than I am today. And so they're coming up with all kinds of ideas. Now, ever since I started this channel, I've done all kinds of different things. I've talked about, how to save your money from inflation before it even started. I talked about how to invest in real estate. I do a lot of news. There's something that I started a long time ago, and it was the first thing I ever taught people about, and that was how to start a side hustle. And it's not as hard as you think. And you know what's funny? Most people get roadblocked at what to do for a side hustle or what name to start their business with. And it's simple, easy. So I want to talk about that. So real quick, while everybody's jumping on this live call, can you do me a favor? Type 1 if you have a side hustle or a business. And can you also type down what kind of business that is? I was a firefighter, and so I had extra days off. But before I was and I had side hustles. I've done over 22 of them and turned some businesses, a handful of them, into 7 figures. I'm scaling one right now to an 8-figure, and I have a feeling another one will be 9 figures in about a year and a half. I have done most of them by myself. A few, like my construction company, a real estate brokerage, a property management company, those I had business partners and employees. But other than that, everything else I did by myself. And I would make at minimum $40,000 to $50,000 extra a year. Now, I wasn't always a firefighter. I used to be a waiter at a restaurant. I worked in a shoe store. But I knew that just going to work, doing the 9 to 5 wasn't going to cut it. And quite frankly, I love not having a boss. I love being able to make my own hours, my own schedule on my time. And a long time ago, I did a course on how to start a side hustle. And thousands of people bought it. And I have actually ran into people. As a matter of fact, I'm staying in a hotel in Dallas, Texas. I'm about to leave. And it's the first place I ever had my first event. It was at an Embassy Suites. I don't know if any of you were there. I think 200 people showed up. And I was absolutely stunned as I was talking. And somebody raised their hand. And I thought they were going to ask a question. Still get a little emotional thinking about it because it was so cool. This lady stands up and she has her husband stand up with her and she goes, hey, I just want to thank you because we took your side hustle course and we started a business, and in our first year, we're going to be doing $60,000. And I was just, it's funny because you could know something 100% in life, right? And you could get super excited about what you know and you want to share it with people. And you know it's going to work, but you're still stunned when you see it work. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Type 2 if you have. Don't leave me hanging if you're the only one. You're still like, hey, I see something coming ahead and it's bad, and you're warning people, but then when it really happens, you're still shocked. Like, I can't believe it's happening this fast, or it's this bad, I think the time is now to start a side business. And the reason why I say that is because I started selling palm trees after I'd sold all my homes, getting everyone ready for the Great Recession. I'd sold 14 properties. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Nobody wanted to be my friend because I was the depressing one in 2006, saying there was a real estate crash underway and it's going to get really bad and a lot of people are going to lose their homes. So nobody wanted to hang out with me, all right? What I did is I started a palm tree business because I was used to investing in real estate. I was really heavy in real estate. And I wanted to do something where I knew that I was making a difference. I love planting things. I love building gardens. And I knew that as people weren't going to be, the velocity of home sales were going to shrink dramatically. I was going to be able to sell things to people that were going to fix up the homes that they're in. And we crushed it. I did a lot of marketing through Craigslist and local newspapers, and I got pretty savvy with advertising. And I had a string of cars in my track house. I had 1,000 palm trees in the back of my track house. There's a picture of me somewhere on Google Earth. It looks insane. So I lived right in the middle of a city in a track out. Anyway, a string of cars. Well, that led to flipping tractors, which turned into about $250,000 a year. And we're talking a cash business, man. It was great because I was buying construction equipment from all these construction companies who were going out of business. And then that turned into flipping park model trailers and mobile homes. That turned into lots of money. And I took all that money and bought crypto with it. And I learned that you're not always in one business forever. And I think that's what bogs a lot of people down. Um, Let me ask you this. Type yes or no if you've ever wanted to start a side hustle or a business and you just haven't done it. Like you just don't have that first step, that grounding thing. And one thing that is really interesting to me is I think people get too daunted with, "Oh, I can't start a business. I don't want to deal with employees. I don't want to deal with all the work." And it doesn't start like that. It starts very small and then you get to guide it. And one thing that I notice is a lot of people in business today, they're not in business, they actually have a hobby. And the reason how I define a hobby is if you're in business for yourself and you're making the same amount per year as you would be making working for someone else. And I see a lot of people that were business owners that finally give up because they didn't know how to scale it, didn't know how to squeeze as much maximum profits out of it, not enjoy it, and then they go to work for someone else because it was just too much work. Well, it's because they had a hobby. I see contractors all the time that are doing it that are making $100,000 a year after expenses, and they're running a crew and they're tired. And I'm like, you're not a business owner. You've got a hobby going on. You might as well go work for a utility company. You'd make more and have your own health benefits, right? Well, that's not what I want to see with you. If you want to start a side hustle, you need to start small. You need to stay out of debt, and it's actually really easy to do that. I'm gonna remind everyone the Memorial Day link, for the Memorial Day sale on all my courses are down below, and the side hustle course is there. It's the first one I ever did. You'll see. And truth be told, I was filming it like at 10 o'clock at night when all the firefighters were asleep in the training room. Part of that course is in there, and I was hustling. That was my side hustle at the time, and the firefighters would laugh. I would get up early. I'd be up at 6 a.m. They'd be eating breakfast and drinking coffee. I'd be in the classroom teaching a course. Um, Even as a firefighter, I remember offering to wash guys' cars, and I would get paid, and I'd be in the apps bay washing the other guys' cars, and they'd be paying me because they didn't want to do it. They were sitting on their butts in the day room watching TV or playing video games. So I know what it's like to do that, and I also know what it's like to run businesses with margins as little as 2%. And that's another thing that blows me away. In this world, we've got, like, on social media, there are people that love to brag about their CEO or the VP of a company. And then when they say, well, how much did you make? They always quote the company sales. And they sound really impressive, but not when you understand that sometimes there's just a lot of businesses that are making $3-4 million a year, $10 million a year. And the owner is only taking home about less than 10% of that. That's absolutely bonkers to me. And there are ways to fix all of that. You know, I know window washers that are making $250,000 a year. I know of lawn mowing companies that are bringing in millions of dollars in revenue a year, and they're walking away with $400,000-500,000 a year. That puts you at a totally different level in society. And when I think of the word rich, I do not, riches to me are loud. You see people driving around Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they've got all this fancy clothes on, and it's loud. They want to sort of bolster, right? Wealth is quiet. It's silent. You have extra money. You're not in debt. Rich, I know a lot of rich people that have, a $5 million house with a $3 million mortgage. That's not wealth to me. Wealth is money that is just extra. It's there. And I believe that you can be there. You just need to start. You need to find a starting place, and then you need to find other people. So I want to encourage you. Let me ask you this. and I'm going to watch the comments as we go down. And if you're watching this video later, go look at the comments and just see what would be your dream business to own. Like, what kind of business? Can you type it down below? I really, there's a huge difference between, let me see here, between investing and taking your money and investing it and building a business, because businesses builds cash flow, muscle car sales. That would be awesome. You guys know that the only two things I really haven't flipped is jets and exotic cars, or yachts, yachts too. I want to do that. I'm going to do that on the channel. Wealth management, that's an incredible idea. There's a lot of you that could be coaches. That's a huge business, a mentor, things like that. Someone wants to open a crypto exchange, a farm. I've always wanted a farm, no joke. There are people in this room right here that own several businesses. Senior daycare. Here's another idea. This is on the side hustle, real estate side hustle. Can you imagine? I'm going to build a place here pretty shortly. And my goal is to rent it out to traveling nurses that write 1-month contracts. So I'm not doing Airbnb, but I'm providing a really nice place for nurses that are coming in on contract to work like 1 or 2, maybe 3 months at a hospital, sort of like a midterm rental. And I'm providing this really nice place because one thing the nurses are saying, they're like, we're having a hard time getting a short-term rental. We need to do this job. We're from out of town or a different state, and we're coming here and we can only find total garbage, and it's not good for their work ethic. When they're coming home to a scary place. The farming, I think, is amazing. I think that would be so amazing if everyone went out and started a small farm and started a fruit stand, which most people don't realize. One side hustle I went into is starting a roadside fruit stand, which most counties in the country have special provisions for. They have to provide a special provision, like a looser group set of laws and rules about starting a farm side stand as opposed to a grocery store or something like that. Many of you could become like your own mini grocery store and helping the community, and thus bringing down inflation in food in your local community because there's more and more people growing it. And that's a really good thing. And what I want to do is, part of Ninja Nation is being prepared and not scared. I say it all the time, right? But I want you to thrive. Like, I want you to be so successful that everywhere I go, I'm running into people that are smiling, they're happy, you're always smiling and happy when I see you. And I love taking photos with you. I love giving hugs, but I want to hear your success stories. So do me a favor. At the bottom of this video, in the comments, if you've had a successful side business lately, please put it down. Share with other people. Remember, when you start to help other people, you give them advice, you coach them, you mentor other businesses, your business explodes. And that is a very, very real thing. All right, I got to catch a flight. I hope you guys have a great day. Memorial Day sale on all my courses and that's one of my side hustles. So there you go. I'm doing what I'm wanting you to do. Okay. What I'm trying to share with you. The Memorial Day sale is 1 day left. Okay. And all those prices are crazy low. So I hope you have a great day. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.